Classroom Management Plan Introduction. The purpose of a classroom management plan is for students and teachers to have a clear understanding of expected behavior and procedures in the classroom. This presentation will be outlining my behavioral and classroom management plan. Sections will include my philosophy of classroom and behavior management, classroom organization, classroom map, my classroom rule development process, my classroom procedures and expectations, maintaining a safe environment, maximizing effectiveness and accommodations, parents' communication, and ethical issues. Philosophy of classroom and behavior management. My philosophy is a mixture of several theories educators use when formulating their philosophy for classroom management. My philosophy includes ensuring every student in the classroom has equal opportunity with special consideration given to individual needs. I believe students should monitor their own behavior and attempt to self-correct when gentle prompting from the teacher when infractions are small. I'd like to have a contract in place with students on the first day of school. Students could refer to this for consequences. Not all students learn the same way. I believe it's important to offer instruction in a variety of ways. Some students would rather hear someone read to them than read himself or herself, or to watch a video of something being read. Students should be rewarded for positive behavior and attempting to complete assignments, in my opinion. Teachers should never embarrass or humiliate students. Even in the toughest situations, students look up to teachers. Teachers are role models and should act as such. Classroom organization. Classroom organization is an important factor in effective teaching. Students need their environment to be friendly and safe and free of distractions. Ensuring all of my students can see and hear me is important. I'd have my students sit in groups of 4, moving them every so often. At random if needed, there may be problems and you may have to move some students away from other students. I chose this group setting because I favor the cooperative learning theory Johnson & Johnson researched. It's important for the lighting to be appropriate and the air conditioning and heat to function properly. Live plants in the classroom as well as comfortable seating for reading will help students relax and feel safe in the classroom. I'll also have an area with fruit and healthy snacks options for students. I think I need to get permission from parents, but I think no student should ever be hungry, and I'd like to offer them a healthy choice. I'll have computers in the back of the classroom. The students using it will not face the class. They'll have their own little separate area. My classroom map. The teacher's desk will be angled to face the students. That's important, watching everything that's going on. The smart board will be in front of the classroom with the entry door to the right. The tables with 4 chairs will be angled to have a view of the front and sides of the classroom. The computer will be along the back of the wall. Books will be near the computer area and will have beanbag seating. I think it's important for them to have comfortable seating. Plants, class information will be posted. But I think the most important thing about the book section is that they can sit there and feel comfortable and read a book. They don't feel like they're at school. And they don't feel like they're doing work. Here's my map. I'm hopeful. Classroom rule development process. I'll use the process suggested by Harry Wong of no more than 5 rules at a time. I'll add rules once the first set of rules are memorized if needed. The following rules will be introduced first. Raise your hand if you want to speak. This is important because all the students talking at once would be unproductive. Keep your hands and feet to yourself. This rule is important because students need to learn to respect each other's personal space. Rule number 3, be a good friend to everyone. This rule reminds students to treat others the way they want to be treated. And rule number 4, listen to the teacher or any adult in charge. Students need to listen to the teacher or adult in charge at all times for safety and learning purposes. Be on time. A student may miss important parts of instruction if they are tardy. It stresses students if they are tardy. Procedures and expectations. The procedure for using the bathroom, students will sign a piece of paper so everyone knows and is aware that there is someone already using the restroom. There'll be a clipboard and students can sign their name in and out. Procedure for class materials, number 2. Students will treat all the materials in the classroom with care. Students will put things back where they found them and keep everything tidy. That's very important, especially for safety issues, nobody tripping, but it stresses students if they don't have pens, pencils, crayons, markers to do activities. Procedure for class dismissal. Students need to wait for the teacher to dismiss the class. The bell is not what should dismiss class. This is for the student's safety. The procedure for makeup work. There will be a designated area that will have information posted about makeup assignments due to an absence of a student, but I will also allow late work to be turned in with a small grade deduction. Things happen. The procedure for lining up, that's important. Teacher will flash the classroom lights 2 times to signal the students to line up. Hopefully that will get their attention. All the students will walk in a single file line quietly to their destination. I think it's really important for there not to be chaos when they're walking around. Maintaining a safe environment. Students need a safe, structured learning environment to reach their full potential. Students need to feel the teacher and staff at the school are there to help them with any problems they may have in school as well as out of school. The classroom needs to be a bully-free zone where students feel comfortable expressing themselves without negative feedback. Fire drills should be practiced and discussed as well as any other emergency situations that could arise. Maximizing effectiveness. Harry and Rosemary Wong state 3 characteristics of an effective teacher. The teacher has positive expectations for the students. You should always think every student can do anything that you ask them to do and beyond. Knows how to create lesson plans to maximize student mastery. Is a great classroom manager. Having high expectations shows the teacher believes in the students and their ability to learn. Research has indicated that if the teacher believes a student to be a low or mid-level learner, those beliefs are transferred to the student and the student will perform at that level. Maximizing effectiveness. Lesson mastery is an indication how well the students are grasping the concepts taught. Wong states there are 3 a teacher must do to teach her mastery. Know how to design a lesson plan in which a student will be able to learn a concept or skill. Delivers the instruction to teach to a goal or standard, and assess and provide corrective action for learning. Accommodations. All students should have accommodations. Not everyone is the same. Every student deserves to have the same education as their peers. Students come from many different backgrounds and often learn differently. Teachers can make accommodations for students that ensure each student can be taught individually and lesson plans can be taught to their strengths. For students identified as either ESE or ESOL, special accommodations can be made. These include, but are not limited to, allowing additional time for lessons to be completed, Having instructions or exam questions read to the student and allowing the student to be insulated from a group to avoid distractions. Some students may work better independently. Parental communication. Teacher, student, and parental communication is a cornerstone of the learning process. Without having the parent involved, you're a one-person team. I'd meet with each parent and child, if possible, if they're willing, and give them my personal background as well as my teaching philosophy. I'd make sure to exchange emails and text information so that the parents can communicate with me. Some people communicate just through text, just through Facebook, just through Instagram, and I'd be open and willing to anything. Communication is key. I'd use agendas as a way to ensure a parent is being kept in the loop by asking for a parental signature each day. That shows that the parent is going through the backpack, that they're finding all the schoolwork that we've completed, maybe field trip forms, things that they need to fill out. With each year, I'd maintain a class website that not only has to-date information on what's going on in class, but also offers links to practice on topics the class is currently studying. I know not everyone has computer access, but for the people that do, this is so easy to keep up with your children this way. I'd ensure parents are aware of the parental portal and encourage them to be active on the site. I would love to hear from all the parents. I would never say I did not want parental involvement. They can say whatever they want and it wouldn't bother me. I really feel like it's that important. Ethical issues. I believe a teacher's first moral obligation is to provide outstanding instruction in a professional way. However, understanding a teacher's moral obligation is also very important. I first and foremost have the responsibility to protect the student from conditions harmful to learning and or to the student's mental and or physical health or safety. I think if you think something's going on with the student, you need to say something. Sometimes something going on in their home life might require intervention. I'll not subject a student to unnecessarily embarrassment and will not exploit any relationship. I will not discriminate against any student based on race, color, religion, sex, age, national or ethnic origin, political beliefs, marital status, handicapping, condition, sexual orientation, or social and family background. My conclusion. To become a success at classroom management takes a dedicated effort by the teacher in many different aspects. To create a positive learning environment, teachers must make the classroom organized and should consider using a classroom map when first establishing their workspace. Having proper rule development as well as ensuring students know the classroom procedures and expectations is vital to a productive classroom. Using special accommodations for ESE and ESOL children ensures they have the same educational experience as other students. Ensuring parental involvement and communication coupled with an ethical approach to instruction, a teacher has the tools they need to provide an exceptional learning experience for all students. The Florida Department of Education Code of Ethics was a big resource in this. The teachers are held to a high standard, higher morals, higher ethical values and standards than the general public. And you are an example for all the students.